Have you ever opened your eyes after what should have been a full night's sleep and felt like you never closed them at all? The clock says it's morning, but your body says no. It feels like your soul never came home during the night, like it wandered somewhere far and forgot to rest. You lie there still, not because you're lazy, but because your body feels like it's made of wet concrete. You're sinking into the mattress, even as the world is rising without you. You slept, but you didn't rest, and that is the silent epidemic no one's talking about. Every morning, millions of people force themselves out of bed already defeated, not from lack of discipline, but from a war they didn't even know they were in. This is not just about sleep, it's about rhythm, it's about purpose, it's about the unseen weight that drags us down before the day even starts. The Stoics believed that fatigue is not just physical, it's spiritual. A restless soul cannot rest the body. And in a world addicted to noise, to stimulation, to pressure, it's no wonder we wake up exhausted, even after 8 full hours. But what if the answer has been buried for over 2,000 years? Stay with me, this is where it begins. What if the reason you wake up tired has nothing to do with how long you slept, and everything to do with how deeply you've disconnected from your own rhythm? What if your exhaustion isn't a result of working too much, but of being at war with your inner world? Today, we're not just going to talk about sleep. We're going to dismantle the illusion that rest equals recovery. Because modern life has turned rest into a checklist. Close your eyes, set an alarm, take a supplement, swipe through a feed until you pass out. And still, you wake up aching, drained, disconnected from your own body, as if you never came back from yesterday. This video is not about fixing your sleep, it's about fixing the way you move through your life. And for that, we turn to the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who ruled during plagues, invasions, and betrayal, once asked himself a simple question at dawn: why am I still in bed when I was made to rise and face the day? This wasn't motivation, it was alignment. Because when your life is out of sync, when your actions betray your values, when your nights are filled with noise and your mind never turns off, no amount of sleep will help. You could rest for 10 hours and still wake up with the weight of unspoken thoughts, ignored truths, and unresolved emotions crushing your chest. In the next 30 minutes, we'll walk through the 4 hidden causes of modern exhaustion and the 4 ancient Stoic remedies that helped some of history's most pressured men remain composed, clear, and awake in the face of chaos. You'll learn why your body may be fine, but your soul is tired, and why your phone isn't the enemy, but your inability to sit in silence might be. We'll talk about rituals, reflection, meaning, and the kind of calm that doesn't come from sleeping pills or blackout curtains, but from the unshakable feeling that you are living in integrity with yourself. So if you've been waking up tired for far too long, you're not alone, but you're also not powerless. Let's begin. Imagine this, it's 6:30 a.m. Your alarm buzzes like a drill in your brain. You hit snooze twice because your limbs feel like they're underwater. And when you finally sit up, it's like gravity is stronger in your room than anywhere else on earth. You drag yourself into the kitchen. You brew coffee like it's medicine. You scroll through your phone hoping something gives you a reason to move. You're not sad, you're not sick, but you feel heavy, mentally blurred, physically disconnected, emotionally numb. This is what burnout looks like now. Not dramatic collapse, but a slow, quiet decay. A kind of spiritual erosion that creeps in day after day, until your life feels like a loop you're not awake for. His name is Daniel, a 33 engineer, smart, driven, and running on empty for years. He worked 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. He exercised. He ate well. He even tracked his sleep with a smartwatch. And still, he woke up tired. Every single day, not tired in his body, but tired in his soul. He went to doctors, did blood tests, tried melatonin, magnesium, therapy, ice baths, affirmations. Nothing changed. Until one day, after breaking down during a team meeting, his therapist asked him a question he couldn't answer. When was the last time you sat in silence without feeling anxious? Daniel couldn't remember, because silence scared him. In silence, the truth is loud, that he hated his job, that he felt like an imposter, that he hadn't spoken honestly to his wife in weeks, that he was spending his life chasing a title he didn't believe in. This wasn't a sleep problem, it was a life problem, because no bed, no supplement, no schedule can override the weight of misalignment. And that's what Stoicism teaches us, that tiredness is a messenger. When your soul is restless, your body obeys. Seneca said, "Life is long if you know how to use it." But Daniel wasn't using his life, he was surviving it. Like millions of others who appear fine on the outside but feel hollow on the inside. What saved him wasn't another hack, it was rhythm, ritual, reflection. He turned his phone off an hour before bed. He stopped filling every silent moment with podcasts, reels, background noise. He started writing just one page a night. And slowly, his soul came back online and he started waking up not energized, but lighter. And in that lightness, he found clarity. So now I'll ask you the same question. When was the last time you sat in silence without anxiety? That might be the real reason you're tired. Let's keep going. We live in a world where exhaustion has become normal. But here's the truth most people won't tell you. You don't have to be physically ill to be spiritually unwell. Chronic exhaustion is more than fatigue. It's a signal, a breakdown in the system that connects your body, mind, and soul. Doctors call it non-restorative sleep. You go to bed, you get the hours, but you don't wake up feeling whole. Because quantity doesn't equal quality, especially when your nervous system never truly powers down. It's like charging a phone with a frayed cable. Sure, it's plugged in, but nothing's really happening. Let's break it down. Chronic exhaustion isn't always about sleep deprivation. It's about nervous system dysregulation. Your body is stuck in a low-level fight or flight mode. Even while you sleep, you carry stress into your dreams, you grind your teeth, you clench your fists, you wake up with your jaw locked and your chest tight. Why? Because rest requires safety, and most of us never feel truly safe anymore. We scroll news headlines before bed. We fill our nights with overstimulation, dopamine hits, unresolved conversations, blue light, caffeine, and a mind that never stops replaying the day. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." He wasn't talking about Instagram, but he could have been. The modern world has trained us to fear stillness, to avoid silence, to mistake productivity for peace. But real peace isn't earned through output, it's reclaimed through presence. When the Stoics talked about tranquility, they weren't talking about a spa day. They meant inner quiet, a deep, settled calm that comes not from the absence of work, but from the alignment of your actions and your values. If you feel tired all the time, it's not a personal failure. It's a cultural condition. But it doesn't have to stay that way, because once you understand the real roots of exhaustion, once you stop treating the symptom and start seeing the signal, you can begin to rebuild. And it starts with rhythm, with rituals, with reclaiming moments of stillness, so your soul can finally exhale. Up next, the first invisible cause of modern fatigue, and how the Stoics beat it, without tech, supplements, or excuses. There's a rhythm to everything. Waves rise and fall. The sun appears, then disappears. Your breath expands and contracts. Even the seasons know when to slow down. But modern humans, we forgot. We push, hustle, grind 12 months a year. We treat rest like a reward instead of a requirement. And then we wonder why we're tired all the time. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "No man can escape his nature. If you fight it, you will suffer. If you accept it, you will flow." What he meant was this: if you live out of sync with your natural rhythm, your life becomes a struggle. Sleep isn't just a biological function, it's a sacred part of the human cycle. It's the reset, the integration, the recovery. But in modern life, we've replaced rhythm with artificial momentum, alarm clocks, notifications, deadlines, 24/7 access to everything. We don't pause, we don't descend, we just keep ascending until we burn out. The Stoics didn't have access to science, but they had access to something deeper: observation, reflection, wisdom earned by watching nature. They lived in harmony with light, rose with the sun, slept with the stars, ate with intention, worked with purpose, and when the day ended, they let it end. You, on the other hand, may finish your workday at 6 p.m., but your mind keeps working until 1 a.m. You scroll, you overthink, you replay every awkward moment, you replan your future, you try to solve tomorrow, tonight. That's not rhythm, that's internal chaos. So if you want to wake up rested, you don't just need sleep. You need reverence for the cycle itself. To wind down, to disconnect, to allow your system to recalibrate. Seneca said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." If your attention is scattered all the time, your nervous system never lands. And if you never land, you never recover. This isn't about going back in time, it's about bringing back the parts of the past that kept people sane, calm, rooted. The Stoics didn't have burnout because they honored the invisible rhythm that modern life taught us to ignore. And now, you can too. Let's look at the first modern cause of this disconnection, a thief in your pocket that never lets your brain shut down. You went to bed at midnight, you closed your eyes, you woke up at 8 hours, right? That should be enough. So, why do you feel like you got hit by a truck? The answer might not be how long you sleep, but how deep. In a world filled with stimulation, our minds have forgotten how to descend. We fall asleep, but we never truly drop into rest. It starts with light. The blue glow of your screen tells your brain it's still daytime. It blocks melatonin. It keeps your cortisol levels elevated. And so even if you're in bed, your brain is not preparing for sleep, it's preparing for battle. Then comes content. Fast-paced, addictive, emotional. Reels, drama, news, emails, DMS. Every scroll sends a signal. Stay alert, stay reactive, stay tense. And even when you finally drift off, your body is still processing all of that input, which means your nervous system can't drop into the deep stages of sleep where healing happens. Seneca once said, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." Sleep is the same. It's not about hours, it's about depth, and depth requires disconnection. But here's the problem. We're addicted to noise. We fall asleep to videos. We check our phones first thing. We crave background stimulation because silence feels threatening. And yet, silence is where the healing lives. Sleep is not just physical rest, it's psychological cleanup. It's the brain washing away stress hormones, consolidating memory, resetting emotional balance. Without deep sleep, you wake up emotionally brittle, easily overwhelmed, anxious without cause, irritated by nothing. And over time, that baseline of fragility becomes your normal. You just think that's who you are, but it's not. It's sleep debt, disguised as personality. So if you want to fix your mornings, you have to fix your nights. And that starts with cutting off the flood of stimulation that's stealing your depth. The Stoics didn't stare into glowing rectangles before bed. They stared into fire, into pages, into the quiet night sky. And in that stillness, they found clarity. Let's take a page from their book, because the first cure for shallow sleep is not a pill, but a pause. Up next, the first Stoic ritual that resets your rhythm and reclaims your night. The Stoics had a practice, simple, quiet, sacred. It wasn't called sleep hygiene. It didn't involve supplements, white noise machines, or blackout curtains. They called it nocturnum, the descent into night, and it began long before the first yawn. In Stoic philosophy, the evening wasn't just the end of the day, it was a ritual, a passage, a return to stillness after the chaos of motion. Marcus Aurelius didn't fall asleep by accident. He prepared for it, like entering a temple. No scrolls, no debates, no unresolved tensions, just stillness, reflection, and detachment from the world. He would ask himself 3 questions at the end of each day. What did I do well? What could I have done better? What will I let go of before sleep finds me? That was his transition. You see, modern sleep is shallow because modern life has no boundary between on and off. We collapse into bed with the noise still buzzing in our skull, our fingers still twitching to swipe, our thoughts still fighting for control. But rest doesn't begin when you close your eyes, it begins when you surrender. And surrender requires ritual. Start small. 30 minutes before bed, begin your descent. No screens, no chaos. Dim the lights, close the loops. Pick up a pen instead of your phone. Write down what's unresolved so it doesn't follow you into your dreams. Stretch, read philosophy, breathe. Treat your night like sacred ground, not leftover time. Seneca said, "We should every night call ourselves to an account. What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired?" He didn't do this to judge himself, he did it to release the day. That's the point, closure, not control. You can't sleep if part of you is still clinging to conversations, arguments, mistakes. Let them go. Let them fall away with the setting sun. You are not a machine, you are a rhythm, and rhythms require transitions. So before we continue, ask yourself, do I descend or do I crash? Fix that, and you've already begun to heal. Now let's talk about the second invisible reason your mornings feel heavier than they should. The weight you're carrying, inside your chest. You're in bed, lights off, body still, but your mind, loud. Thoughts race, regrets replay, scenarios spiral. You remember something you said wrong 3 years ago. You plan a conversation that might never happen. You relive an argument that ended hours ago. But inside you it's still burning. This is emotional overload, and it's one of the most misunderstood causes of fatigue. We carry too much into the night, and we pretend that closing our eyes means leaving it all behind. But your body doesn't forget. Your heart doesn't forget. Your nervous system certainly doesn't forget. When you go to sleep emotionally activated, your brain enters a war zone. Dreams become chaotic. Sleep becomes fragmented. Your body remains tense, on edge, ready for confrontation. This is why people wake up with clenched jaws, sore backs, and pounding hearts, even after 8 hours in bed. It's not about the hours, it's about the emotional weight you're carrying. The Stoics knew this. They didn't just train their logic, they trained their inner world. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." But what if you're not reacting during the day, and your reaction shows up at night? Most people suppress, they bottle up feelings, they act fine, they hold their breath all day and try to exhale only when they lie down. That doesn't work. Repressed emotion doesn't disappear, it waits. It waits until your distractions are gone. And then it speaks loudest in the dark. So here's the question. When do you process what you feel? Not react, not post, not vent, process. Do you allow space for sadness? Do you name your fears? Do you sit with your discomfort without rushing to fix it? If not, your sleep will become the dumping ground for everything you didn't face during the day. And that's why you wake up tired, because you never rested. You just escaped. The Stoics didn't escape, they confronted. They cleared their minds before sleep, like a warrior cleans his sword. Because the battle is easier when your armor isn't rusted with resentment. You don't need perfect control. You need emotional honesty. Up next, I'll show you the exact Stoic practice used to purge emotional chaos before bed, and how it can bring you the deepest, purest sleep you've ever known. The Stoics didn't wait for therapy. They created their own. It was quiet, it was simple, and it was written with ink, not shouted with rage. They called it evening reflection. You might call it journaling, but don't mistake this for a cute productivity hack. This was emotional surgery. Every night before sleep, Stoics would take up a scroll or a slate and pour their day onto the page. Not to vent, not to dramatize, but to see clearly, because clarity is peace. Seneca wrote, "When the light has been removed and my wife has fallen silent, I examine my entire day and go back over what I've done and said. I hide nothing from myself. I omit nothing. For why should I fear any of my mistakes when I can say, 'Take care not to do this again, this time I forgive you'?" That's the point. Self-accountability. Without shame, without self-punishment, without noise. It's not about writing pages, it's about facing yourself before sleep takes you away. So tonight, try this. Open a notebook and answer these 3 questions just like they did. What stirred my emotions today? What truth did I avoid? What can I let go of before I rest? Be honest, you're not writing for Instagram. You're writing to reclaim your center. Your pen becomes a mirror. Your thoughts slow down. The storm inside begins to settle. And in that stillness, you'll find something you haven't felt in weeks. Lightness. Because it's not your life that's too heavy. It's the weight of unspoken thoughts. The Stoics wrote not to be profound. They wrote to clean the lens, to empty the emotional inbox before tomorrow arrived. If your mind is loud when your head hits the pillow, it's because your soul still has something to say. So let it speak before sleep comes. This simple act, done consistently, is like clearing debris from a river. The water flows, the system resets, and you wake up different, calmer, clearer, present. You don't need a new app, you need an old scroll and a few minutes of truth, and let's keep going. Because emotional fatigue has a cousin, a deeper cause of tiredness that no blood test can detect. Some people don't wake up tired because they're overworked. They wake up tired because they see no reason to rise. This is the third layer of modern exhaustion, the one no one talks about. Not physical, not emotional, but existential. The collapse of purpose. You can sleep 10 hours, eat clean, meditate, and journal. But if you're waking up to a life that feels meaningless, your soul will stay heavy. Seneca warned us, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. But today, people aren't just scattered, they're unanchored. They're living lives on autopilot, measuring themselves by likes, salaries, followers, never once asking, what do I actually care about? And when you live without intention, your mornings feel like obligation. Another loop, another day of pretending, another sunrise you didn't ask for. You're not tired, you're disconnected. Purpose doesn't mean having a grand mission. It means having alignment. A reason today matters, a reason to move, even when it's hard. The Stoics called this telos, your ultimate aim. And they believed every human was born with one. Epictetus said, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. But how many of us do that? Most people wake up and start running, without checking where they're going. They consume content for direction. They let others define success. They trade their authenticity for belonging. And over time they become strangers to themselves. That's when tiredness turns into despair, when fatigue becomes a fog that no coffee can clear. So ask yourself, what am I building? What do I serve beyond survival? What values guide my decisions? Even 1 hour a day pursuing something that feels real can change everything. You don't need a perfect life, you need a reason. And when that reason becomes clear, your mornings transform. You don't drag yourself out of bed, you arrive. And so, if you've been waking up tired for years, don't just change your routine, change your aim. Purpose is not a luxury, it's oxygen for the soul. In the next segment, we'll explore the most misunderstood Stoic idea, one that terrifies most people, but has the power to wake you up permanently. Memento Mori, remember, you will die, and in that reminder, you may finally learn how to live. Memento Mori, remember, you will die, 3 words that terrified emperors and freed philosophers. To the Stoics, this wasn't morbid, it was medicine, a spiritual jolt, a way to cut through illusion and get back to what matters. Because nothing wakes you up like remembering you don't have forever. Modern culture avoids death. We sanitize it, hide it, pretend we're immune. But in doing so, we also forget to live. We waste our mornings, we complain through our afternoons. We distract our way through the night, never pausing to realize how few days we're really given. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." He didn't say it to scare himself. He said it to sharpen his focus. When you live with death in the room, you stop postponing meaning. You stop tolerating mediocrity. You stop needing permission to change your life. You understand that every sunrise is a blessing and a warning, because time doesn't wait, and neither should you. So how does this help your fatigue? Because meaningless days drain your soul, and a soul that's drained will drag the body with it. When you forget that life is temporary, you lose urgency. You sleepwalk through decisions. You say yes to things you hate. You betray yourself to keep the peace. Then slowly you become too tired to care. But when you remember death, your energy shifts. You cut what doesn't serve. You speak what needs to be said. You take the walk, write the message, change the job, apologize, begin again. You stop postponing your awakening. The Stoics practiced this daily. They visualized their final breath, not to be dark, but to be alive. So here's a modern ritual inspired by their courage. Each morning ask, if this was my last sunrise, what would I do differently today? And each night ask, if I don't wake up tomorrow, did I live with honesty today? You'll be amazed how quickly your energy returns when you stop wasting time. Memento Mori isn't about fearing death, it's about fearing a life unlived. And when your life is aligned, your rest is deeper, your mornings lighter, your eyes clearer. You're not dragging yourself out of bed, you're rising because it matters. Now let's travel back centuries to the edge of a Roman battlefield, where soldiers slept soundly despite knowing they might never wake up. The Roman Empire was built by men who went to sleep knowing they might not wake up. And yet, they rested, deeply, completely. How? Roman soldiers weren't superhuman. They were afraid, they were exhausted. But they had something most modern people don't: ritual and resolve. Before every battle, legions would set camp, not just to eat or sharpen blades, but to ground themselves, to prepare their minds for what was coming. They believed in intentional rest, not just to restore the body, but to ready the soul. There was no doom scrolling, no distractions, just stillness and silence. A centurion might walk through the ranks checking every man's posture, his breathing, his eyes, not to intimidate, but to ensure that fear wasn't spreading like a virus through the camp. Because fear, left unspoken, becomes exhaustion. And before the soldiers slept, many of them would pray, not for survival, but for courage, for clarity, for the strength to meet the morning with honor, no matter what it brought. They trusted the rhythm: work, reflection, rest, war, in that order. Contrast this with how modern people sleep before a presentation, a difficult conversation, an uncertain tomorrow. We panic, we overthink, we sabotage our rest with projections of fear. The Stoics taught their soldiers to stay in the present, to prepare, not panic, to sleep, not spiral. Marcus Aurelius himself, before a massive campaign, wrote in his private journal, "Don't waste time thinking about what might happen. Think instead, is what I'm doing right now within my control? If yes, proceed. If not, release it." That line alone helped thousands sleep with swords at their sides. So what can we learn? That rest is not about comfort. It's about clarity. You don't need perfect conditions. You need peace with yourself. You need to say, "I've done what I could today." Now I return to silence. The Roman soldiers had no guarantees, and yet they slept with dignity, because they lived with purpose and aligned their actions with their values. Do that, and you'll sleep deeper than most people in silk sheets. Let's move forward to one of the most overlooked causes of exhaustion: the cost of betraying your own conscience. There is a special kind of tired that comes not from what you do, but from who you pretend to be. It's the weight of incongruence, living in conflict with your values, saying yes when you mean no, smiling when you feel broken, nodding when you disagree. And every time you betray yourself, you pay in energy. We call it low-grade exhaustion. But it's not low-grade, it's soul-deep. You feel it when you enter the wrong room, when you stay in the wrong relationship, when you work a job that shrinks your spirit, when your words no longer match your beliefs. The Stoics called this disharmony. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And mastery begins with truth, not external truth, but internal alignment. When who you are, what you believe, and how you act are all the same, you gain energy. But when those parts of you are at war, you leak it. You go to sleep replaying things you wish you didn't say. You wake up already behind, because part of you knows you're not walking the right path. Most people don't burn out from effort. They burn out from pretending. You wear masks, you bend, you please, you perform, until one day you can't anymore and you collapse. Not from work, but from the cost of self-abandonment. This is why some people feel energized after 12-hour days doing what they love, while others feel drained after 3 hours of pretending to be someone they're not. Your nervous system knows the truth, even when your mouth lies, even when your calendar fills with things that look successful, even when your social media shows smiles. Deep down, your body keeps the score and it whispers, "I don't want this. I don't believe in this. This isn't me." Ignore it long enough, and you'll start waking up tired for reasons you can't explain. But the cause is clear. You're not tired from doing too much. You're tired from doing the wrong things, and no supplement can fix that. So pause and ask, what part of me am I silencing? What truth am I avoiding? What would alignment look like today? Because when you return to yourself, your energy returns with you. Next, the Stoic cure for this invisible leak, the practice of living in ruthless honesty so your soul can finally rest. The Stoics believed that the root of peace was not comfort, but integrity. Not the kind you show others, but the kind you show yourself when no one's watching. This is what they called living in accordance with virtue. And it wasn't just about morals, it was about energy, clarity, rest. Because when your life reflects your truth, your nervous system settles, your breath deepens, you sleep. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing, the rest doesn't matter." That was his mantra, not because it sounded noble, but because it made him calm, unshakable, free. When your actions mirror your beliefs, your mind stops overthinking. It doesn't need to second-guess every decision. It doesn't need to spin loops of regret or rehearse justifications. It can finally be still. Living in alignment isn't about being perfect, it's about being honest. It means saying no when you mean no, leaving when you've stayed too long, choosing courage over comfort, choosing presence over performance. You don't need to impress anyone, you just need to respect yourself, and when you do, you'll feel the difference. You'll notice you're less drained after difficult conversations. You'll notice sleep coming quicker, deeper, because you're no longer lying to yourself about who you are. Seneca said, "A good character, when established, becomes a shield." And when you live inside that shield, you stop leaking energy into guilt, shame, and performance. You're not tired from life, you're tired from misalignment. The fix? Audit your days and ask yourself, did I act in alignment with what I believe today? Did I live by my values or someone else's script? What would it look like to make one honest decision tomorrow? And then follow through. The Stoics weren't saints, they were warriors of the self, falling, correcting, falling again, but always returning to virtue. And that return brought them peace. You don't need a new strategy, you need old courage. To speak honestly, to act consciously, to live in such a way that your conscience sleeps before you do. That's the real remedy. Now let's gather what we've learned into one clear, simple checklist that can change how you sleep. Starting tonight, let's bring it all together. If you want to stop waking up tired, not just physically but spiritually, you don't need more gadgets. You need more alignment. Here are 5 timeless Stoic habits you can start practicing tonight. 1. The evening descent. Turn off all stimulation at least 30 minutes before sleep. Screens down, lights low, mind quiet. Let your body know it's time to release the day. 2. Journal for release, not perfection. Write 3 simple reflections. What stirred me today? What truth did I avoid? What can I let go of before rest? Clear the emotional static, create space inside. 3. Honor your rhythm, sleep when it's dark, wake when it's light. Move with nature, not against it. This isn't just poetic, it's biological. 4. Realign with your values. Ask yourself nightly, did I live in integrity today? If the answer is no, don't judge, just correct. Tomorrow is your chance to return. Practice Memento Mori. Before sleep, remember, you are mortal. Time is precious. Say what matters, do what matters, let the rest fall away. These 5 practices are not trendy, they are timeless, and together, they don't just improve your sleep, they rebuild your soul. Start small, 1 habit, 1 honest night, and let the quiet come back. Now, 1 final reflection before we close. You are not just tired, you are carrying too much, too many expectations, too much pretending, too many distractions, too much noise, and not enough meaning. The body needs rest, but the soul needs peace, and most people never find it because they're looking in the wrong place. They try to fix their sleep without fixing the life that surrounds it. They change their diet without changing their values. They buy supplements, but never question their schedule, their relationships, their internal war. You're not tired because you're broken. You're tired because you've been at war with yourself. So stop fighting, stop performing, stop running from silence, stop delaying your return to what's real. The Stoics never promised ease, they promised clarity, and with clarity comes peace. So tonight, before you sleep, don't ask for energy, ask for truth. Ask, did I live honestly today? Did I move with intention? Did I let go of what isn't mine to carry? And if you didn't, forgive yourself, begin again. That's all we ever get. Another beginning. You are not as far from peace as you think. It's right behind the noise, waiting. Take one breath, one pause, one quiet, stoic night, and begin the return to rest that heals you from the inside out. Tomorrow, wake up on purpose. If this message found you, you were meant to hear it, not because you're weak, but because you're ready. Ready to live more simply, more honestly, more awake. The Stoics weren't perfect. They struggled, they suffered, they doubted, but they never stopped returning to what mattered most: clarity, courage, character, and calm. You now carry that same map. You know the 4 invisible causes of your exhaustion. You know the 4 ancient remedies that cost nothing but change everything. Now the question is, will you practice? Will you give yourself the silence you've been avoiding, the discipline your mind is craving, the stillness your body is begging for? If you're ready, truly ready, comment below, "I wake with purpose." Not for me, for you, to mark this moment, to remind your future self that this was the night everything started to change. And if this video spoke to you, share it. Someone else needs it more than you know. Subscribe if you want more wisdom, not noise. Truth, not trend. The next episode will be your armor, how to stay unshaken when people criticize, betray, or misunderstand you. A stoic response to chaos. Until then, sleep deeply, live fully, and walk with virtue, always.